Most of the videos on my YouTube channel are bike reviews or tech videos, but I wanted to do a review on a bike rack that I recently purchased. This is a Performance TransIt Flatbed 2-bike rack. I have the 4-bike rack on our family vehicle, and I like the way it works so much that I got the 2-bike rack to replace my Yakima hold-up rack. When I started riding many years ago, everything was either a trunk rack or a roof rack. Today, you see hitch racks everywhere, and they're kind of becoming the norm for a good reason. One is they're easier to use as far as lifting the bike up, but also they're more economical. With a roof rack, you had to buy the bars, the towers, all the components that went with it, usually locks, and everything was custom depending on your vehicle. Whereas hitch racks, all you really have to do is have a hitch installed on your car, and then you buy the rack and it's pretty much ready to go right out of the box, and many of them, like this one, even have locks already on the rack. Another advantage of hitch racks is you can't drive into a garage with your bikes on top. And honestly, that's why our family switched to hitch racks, is because another member of my family had driven into the garage a couple times with bikes on, which when you do that, you damage the car, the bike, the garage, and the rack all in about a split second. So the only disadvantage really to a hitch rack is if you ever get rear-ended. But what I found is the chances of getting rear-ended are less than driving into something with bikes on top. Let me go over the rack and I'll show you a lot of the features on it. The way that this rack works is you adjust these wheel trays just by turning the knob, sliding the trays, setting them for the wheelbase for your bike. Then it's got a ratcheting arm, so you don't have to push a button in when you ratchet down the top piece. It just goes down, and then to lift it up, you just push this button and slide it up. So after you have the wheel trays adjusted for your bike, it really takes about 5 seconds to load a bike on this rack. Once the bike is on the rack, it really can't move back and forth because the wheels sit pretty far inside the wheel trays. This is a 29er, and even 29ers, the wheels dip down inside the wheel trays far enough to where it cannot move back and forth. It also comes with these Velcro straps that you can use. I actually don't use these when I'm driving around town locally. If I get on the interstate, just for peace of mind, I will strap the Velcro straps. I had mentioned before that I had a Yakima hold-up, which was a really good rack. However, with 29er wheels, if you put a 2.4-inch tire on the front and put the mechanism over the front tire, it actually could rock backwards a little bit. I never had a bike fall off the rack, but it wasn't quite as secure as I wanted if I had a 2.4 on a bike that had a long wheelbase, particularly a 29er. You won't get that problem with a 26er on that rack or a road bike. But for a big 29er front tire, it did not hold as secure as I wanted it to. A friend of mine has a rack like this. It's another brand, which I'm not going to mention on this video. But it also has the mechanism that comes over the top tube. However, the front wheel does not hold as securely as this one. And on one particular trip, my bike rocked forward on the rack, allowing this mechanism to come off the top tube because it was a sloping top tube like this bike. And my bike actually came off the rack on the interstate, held only by the rear wheel. Fortunately, the only damage that I had occur on the bike was the handlebars and the grip were trashed. Everything else on the bike was totally fine. But with this rack, that can't happen because of the way these tires sit inside the trays if you have them adjusted properly. This rack comes with a lock to lock the rack onto your vehicle so no one can take a wrench and remove the rack. It also has a lock on the ratcheting mechanism to secure the bike onto the rack itself. Now, I would not use this locking mechanism to lock a bike up overnight or in an insecure area, but it's really easy to use if you just need to run into a store or leave your bike unattended for a while. One thing that I really like about this rack is when you put two bikes on, you can take the time to adjust the wheel trays so that the handlebars and the saddles of the bikes do not touch each other, as I did here. Now it does take some more time to set up than, let's say, like a Yakima hold-up, where the position of the bikes is set and you really can't adjust it. This rack can fold up just by removing these pins and folding up the arms, which really comes in use if you're going to take the rack off the vehicle and store it in your garage. Just makes it more compact to store. The rack comes with a sleeve so that you can use it on a vehicle with a 2-inch hitch receiver. Mine's 1.25 inches, and it's very secure. It uses a bolt to tighten the rack into the receiver, and when I move it back and forth, it does not move inside the hitch receiver. So that's my review of the TransIt Flatbed 2-bike rack from Performance. Overall, I would say this is the best bike rack that I have ever owned or used, especially for the value. It's durable, it's ready to go right out of the box. It's adjustable for any type of bike that you use, whether it be a road bike, mountain bike, 26, 29. Already has the locking mechanism on the rack. You don't need to purchase any more parts once you get the rack. It's easy to fold up and store in a garage. So I give it 2 thumbs up. Thanks for watching.